A lot of you are wondering how I managed to get this much plants for my tapestries. Time to share my secret. Welcome to Let's Plant Bites. My name is Chuck, and in this episode I would like to discuss something that a lot of you have been asking me on my Let's Plant videos for the past few years, and that is how do I manage to get this many plants in my garden?
Daddy, I play bubbles.
Bubbles? Okay. When you're starting out as a collector, plant propagation is probably one of the top things that you search for online or in groups or on YouTube. And there's a lot of videos on this subject. In fact, beginner succulent channels on YouTube, they tend to focus on the propagation side of things because that's what a lot of newbies come to look for. So having a few years of experience under my belt as a succulent collector and, dare I say, hoarder, I might have a thing or two to teach you. Now, there's lots of propagation videos and guides online that you could follow. You have probably seen them all, and I'll spare you the details. And if you've been collecting for a while, then you probably know the few main ways that you could propagate. Very popular among beginners would be the leaf cuttings method, and then there's beheading or beheading. Of course, you could also try from seeds, but that is an advanced technique, especially if you're dealing with echeveras because they have so tiny seeds and it's so easy messing it up. And there's also this technique which I jokingly call the money method, which is basically buying some plants and you are only limited by the amount of cash that you have. And again, this video is not about showing you the different methods. I would assume that you have at least a basic knowledge of how each one works. Yeah. Because in this video, I plan to mainly focus on my strategies on how I employ each technique, when and where I use them, and on what. I think a good way to go about this is to separate people into groups based on experience levels. So the first category would be a beginner, and this would be someone who has probably a year or less experience handling succulents. And when I say experience, this does not mean that you have had these plants in your possession for less than a year. No. When I say experience, it's mostly about how long you have been researching or reading, and it might not be the same for everyone. Everyone has their own pace. There's a group of people which I would think I belong to. These people are the type who are interested in knowing the science behind things, figuring out how things work, and are... Yeah. Animals. Where's the animals? There's a bird. So these people are what I would generally call as researchers, people who like reading a lot of things, or they tend to absorb a lot of information and are somehow able to piece together this information to create some insight which we would apply to our plants. So in terms of calendar years, I've been collecting since 2016. That places me at 3 to 4 years of actual collection. But I think I can safely say that I've researched and amassed about maybe 5 or so years worth of experience in that amount of time that I've had these plants. Now, it's very hard to quantify that, so let's just have fun with the numbers. Don't mind them at all. So going back to the classes, the first one would be the beginner class, which are basically people who are just starting out, who have absolutely no idea or have very little idea on what they should do. These are the type of people who would be hitting the forums, hitting online guides or videos and tutorials, looking for information, plant care, and whatnot. If you find that you are in this group and you're watching this video, or maybe even other people's videos, then I commend you for being resourceful, because at this stage, this is the best way to go forward. As a beginner, there's only so much that you could learn from experimentation, because you would be making a lot of mistakes here, and if you want to be very efficient about it, you would want to learn from other people's mistakes rather than from your own mistakes. For beginners, I think all of the propagation methods are very appealing, although some of these are out of reach. For instance, seed propagation, pollination. This is quite an advanced technique. So I think one of the marks of beginners is that they would just try everything out, everything that they see. So a lot of people would be sharing some things that they saw online or things that they have tried, and beginners would tend to copy them. A side effect of this is that leaf propagation tends to be very appealing to this group because leaf propagation has a very low cost of entry. In fact, there's an entire sub on Reddit called prop lifting where people share plants that they have grown from leaves that have fallen out of containers in plant stores, plant shops. An unspoken rule of prop lifting is that you do not deliberately remove leaves from sale plants, because that would just be wrong, you're stealing. But instead, the spirit of prop lifting is that you pick up fallen leaves, that would otherwise be discarded or swept away, and use them to propagate. I've done a lot of this during my time, so whenever I go out to nurseries and look for new plants, I would look under the shelves or between the pots and see if there are fallen leaves, and I would take them home, hoping that I could grow them into new plants in the future. The second group is what I would consider the intermediate collectors, and intermediate collectors have a good foundation, good knowledge of how things work. Basically, these people are well read, and some of them might even have an idea of which method is better for which type of scenario. I would consider those people to be on the advanced end of intermediate. I would consider myself an intermediate collector. I am across the many techniques that are there, but I haven't tried all of them. I am the type to do lots of experiments, and I have a very good idea of how things work in my climate. And finally, we have the advanced group, who are, I would guess we could further subclassify into two groups. We have the...
Daddy,
Yeah?
I switch what you know.
Yeah, play. The first subgroup would be those who are more commercialized or industrialized, people who do things on a larger scale. And in order to be successful at doing things at a large scale, you need to be very efficient and cost effective. That way things would be sustainable. So a lot of nurseries are this way. So with commercial guys like these, they're most likely employing every propagation technique possible, just to increase the yield and to reduce wastage. So for instance, if you were importing a plant, you would purchase a specimen or two, chop off the heads, gather all of the leaves, retain the stump for offset propagation, then all of the leaves for leaf propagation, and maybe you could even take some to a tissue culture specialist and have them cloned.
Daddy, Papa Shark.
Papa Shark? Papa Shark. Papa Shark. And then the next group is what I would call the researchers or the scholars, I guess. This is the group that I aspire to be. Researchers know a whole lot about taxonomy. They are not necessarily botanists or biologists, but they are well read and they know their stuff. These guys know more than a thing or two about plants. And when they identify plants, you best pay attention to them, because they do more than just what your average PlantSnap app would do. They look into various features and characteristics of the plant, say the flowers, the leaves, the way they grow, the colors, the size, even as far as comparing the number of chromosomes of the species. So really that hardcore. And I think one of the hallmarks of such scholars is that when you show them a photo of a hybrid plant, they would not be quick to say that I know this plant, this is a blah blah blah. They tend to be rather vague and just go for, I think this might be based on the Gibiflora species, for instance. Because at the rate that hybrids are being produced around the world now, it's impossible to tell which specific hybrid it is, because a lot of them would look alike and a lot of them don't even have names. In terms of names just get spread around and they get added on or tacked on by nurseries, and they get muddied. So unless a plant has a name that has been published in a scientific journal or publication, then I don't really mind the name that people give it. So for instance, this plant is a Graptocidum bronze. It has been published under that name, so any other name that you see for this plant is superfluous and is invalid because it already has a name. Of course, you could consider the other names as nicknames, but if you are going for identity and botanical name, of course you have to go with the correct name, which is the accepted name. Anyway, with those out of the way, I would firmly consider myself as part of the intermediate group, and in time I'm hoping to move on to the scholar group. I have no interest in maintaining a large-scale operation. This is probably the extent of what I'm willing to do. But now that we're talking about large scale, which is actually the point of this video, I just had a huge segue just now. Going large scale in a backyard operation such as what I'm doing right now is not really that hard. Well, maybe. It depends on whether you have enough space to do things, space to work in. In my case, I do have that. When I was starting out, I would do all of the propagation techniques that I know. I would do leaf propagation, I would do head chops, I even also started pollinating plants. But as the years go by, I stopped doing leaf propagations because they take lots of time and effort, a lot of space, a lot of shelf space. And in the time that I managed to get leaf propagations to grow large enough, I would have already harvested head chops more than several times. So I'm saying that I'm a huge fan of taking cuttings or doing head chops. You've seen me work on my tapestries and reset my plants. That's actually how I do my mass propagations. What I do is to chop off all of the heads and then I would replant the heads. As for the stumps, I do not discard all of them. I would just plant them in various spots along in the garden. So anywhere I would see free space, I would plop them in. And in time, those stumps would grow a lot more heads again, and this would be exponential. So with my Echeveria elegans, you could see that right now I am overflowing with Echeveria elegans. But believe it or not, in the past I only had, I think I started out with 4 specimens. Although I've been trading and swapping for a few more throughout the years, but most of the plants that you see here are propagations that I made, and none of these are leaf propagations. They simply take too much time, and if you're the type who would hover around your plants too much, it's so easy to kill them with kindness, overwatering, all of those things. But anyway, I've been rambling on too much. The short version is that every year I reset my plants, but I do not throw away the stumps. And this is where it got me. That's the answer to the mystery of how I have so many plants. And I hope you find that technique useful, because leaf propagation is so much work and so much heartache, especially if they dry out. With cuttings, you are less likely to kill them, and they grow a lot faster compared to leaf cuttings. So yeah, that's my propagation method of choice. You do not necessarily have to do exactly the same as I do. You have to mix and match, see what works for you, especially if we have different climate. So yeah, see how it goes, and good luck with your propagations. Bye.